To every open door and count your blessings to find what you look for and turn my sorrow into treasure gold. You pay me back and kind of reap just what you sowed.
You are all members of the same race, the human race, which started with black women between 300,000. Don't interrupt me, I don't have much time. Now, white folks, you don't like it, but all you are is faded blacks. Every one of you, if you trace your DNA back far enough, you're going to find that some of your DNA came from Africa. Because we all have the same ancestor back there, every single one of us. And those of you who think you don't have are obviously from outer space. Now, that means that every one of us is a 30th to 50th cousin to every other person in this room. Well, every person in this room who considers himself or herself a biracial person, stand. Don't you stand. Don't you stand. People, we have to get rid of the language of racism. I'm not a teacher. Teachers dispense facts and figures so that they can get their kids ready for the end of school testing. I've been called a trainer. You train dogs and horses and members of the military. I don't train people. I'm an educator. The word educator comes from the root ductus, which means lead, the prefix e, which means out, the suffix ate, which means the act of, and the suffix or, which means one who does. An educator is one who is engaged in the act of leading people out of ignorance. In this country, we spend a lot of money on what we call education. It isn't education, it's indoctrination.
To every open door and count your blessings to find what you look for and turn my sorrow.
Seek wisdom, not knowledge. Knowledge is of the past, wisdom is of the future. While knowledge equips us with facts, wisdom is about applying them meaningfully. This proverb urges us to prioritize thoughtful action and insight over mere accumulation of information. It's a valuable lesson in our age of information overload. The neurobiology of sexual assault. In the midst of assault, the brain sphere circuitry takes over while other key parts are impaired or even effectively shut down. This is the brain reacting to a life threatening situation just the way it's supposed to. Trauma affects the brain by altering its chemistry and function, particularly impacting areas like amygdala, hippocampus, and prefrontal cortex. These changes can lead to heightened emotional responses, difficulties in memory processing, and impaired decision making abilities, often resulting in conditions like PTSD. Traumatic experiences affect three functioning parts of the brain, three regions. The prefrontal cortex is impaired. This part of our brain is responsible for executive functioning, including focusing attention where we choose, rational thought processes, and inhibiting impulses. You are using your prefrontal cortex to listen and absorb the information in this video rather than getting distracted by other thoughts in your head or things going on around you. But in a state of high stress, fear, or terror, like combat and sexual assault, the prefrontal cortex is impaired, sometimes even effectively shut down by a surge of stress chemicals. When the amygdala identifies a potential threat, it works to sound the alarm by activating the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is like a gas pedal that floods the body with stress hormones and chemicals such as cortisol and adrenaline. This puts the body into a state of fight or flight, causing several psychological changes in the body and the brain. The brain's fear circuitry also alters the function of a third key brain area, the hippocampus. The hippocampus encodes experiences to short term memory and can store them as long term memories. Fear impairs the ability of the hippocampus to encode and store contextual information, like the layout of the room where the event happened. Fear also impairs its ability to encode time sequencing information, like whether the perpetrator ripped off a shirt before or after saying you wanted it.
To every open door and count your blessings to find what you look for and turn my sorrow into treasure gold. You pay me back and kind of reap just what you sowed. We could have had it all. We we could have had it all. Yes. It all, it all, it all. We could have had it all. Rolling in the deep. You have my heart inside of your hands. But you played it, you played it, played it, you played it to the beat. Throw your soul through every